What up, Twitch? It is so good to be with you. It's so good to be with this crew. How is everyone?
Good.
Win.
Good.
Great.
Couldn't be better.
That's awesome. It's been so long since we've done anything, and all of us have kind of been coming and going. You know, the seasons are changing. It's getting warmer, closer to summer now, and I think we're all just getting busy. And then over here at the PU2 studio, we had Internet Crisis 2023 last week, where we had a whole week of not having Wi-Fi. So we about burned the house down. It was anarchy. So all that to say, we are sorry that it's been so long, but we are happy to be back. I'm happy to be running a game with this fun crew I got here. And I'm just going to kind of check in with the table. It's kind of a big weekend with Mother's Day. And then just a lot going on. So, guys, let's hear about your weekend. I'll start here at the top of my screen over there with PS Zombie. How you doing? How was your weekend?
Doing swell. Good weekend. I went and saw Gamma for her B-Day. Slant Mother's Day. It was a good dual-purpose visit. And she lives on a farm in Georgia with my aunt. So that was neat. We got to see the donkeys and goats and all that. Or sheep, rather. Then I picked up Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Very, very fun game. We were talking about it a little before this. Highly recommend. No spoilers. Great game. Lots of fun. I also...
The king cries at the end.
Yeah, it's crazy how you play Zelda during the whole game. It was a big fake out. You don't play Link as Link at all.
It's called a red herring right there.
JK, you do play.
Spoiler!
Wow.
Also,
just letting it all out, dang.
Blizzard gave me a free week of World of Warcraft, so
that's fun.
Fortunately, I'm been messing around with that as well. So, or fortunately, World of Warcraft, it's fun, but it's also a waste of time. So,
yeah.
What you gonna do? I do say
I shake
though,
my head.
For those of you who haven't, well, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, go ahead and buy that if you have $70 on the Switch. But for $15, a month of World of Warcraft is a lot of fun. Just cancel it after that. You don't need to play more than a month, honestly. Just get some of those story quests in, try a few classes, have a nice time, look at the lovely aesthetics, and then walk away. That's a pretty okay
That's the
time
key.
to
You got to have a good exit strategy.
This sounds like what you wish you had done before spending another $15 next time.
Well, I actually played at launch, which was pretty fun.
That's cool.
Way back in the day, me and my brother and his ex-wife, we all started as night elves at launch.
Nice.
I fell off. They kept playing for years and years. My brother was in the wedding of his guild leader, who he had never met in real life until the wedding. So that was kind of
so cool.
Yeah, that's really endearing.
But yeah, I definitely fell off. The thing is, I like starting things. I don't really like finishing things. So I just kept switching races and classes 1,000 times and playing to like level 20 and then getting out of it. So, but I mean, that's really fun for me. So just play the way you want. You know? That's a fine way to play. But yeah, World of Warcraft.
There's a lot of levels you can go, right? There's like,
good fun.
How many levels can you level up in World of Warcraft?
So it was getting way up there into the hundreds, and then they crushed it, they condensed it again down to like 70 or something. So they definitely consolidated it. But now they have World of Warcraft Classic, so you can go back and play how it used to be, and that's what I've been doing. Taking a trip down. So if you get a subscription, you can play Modern World of Warcraft and World of Warcraft Classic, which is the old school kind with like no quality of life. It's all just grindy and running for half an hour just to get to a new city and all the horrible stuff. That's a whole lot of fun. So
does that include all the expansions?
So yeah, you can play all the expansions in the regular. So like you can't use like the prestige classes and stuff that are like brand new, but you can do all the content. And then Classic goes through they've been slowly adding stuff. It's just through Wrath of the Lich King. So that's the third expansion.
Cool.
So it still feels classic,
Right.
but it has a few extra.
For sure.
So.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
that's the one I kind of like playing. It's nice and quiet and very zen because you're just sitting there auto attacking a board because it takes 20 hits to kill it. So you're like, I'll just sit here and wait for that to happen.
Totally.
Well, in modern one, it's like blah blah blah, flashes,
Right.
burst, light, lightning, blah blah, and then everything dies in front of you, which can also be fun. But
Based on what you're going for, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah, I go back and forth. It's good.
It could also happen in a D&D match.
I've heard this. True. I've heard of this concept. I feel like there's a name for it, but I can't quite put my finger on it. But it's essentially like going into a big. It doesn't have to be open world, but it's probably easier to do this in an open world game, where you're essentially like. I saw this phrase on Reddit or somewhere, and it was just like lo-fi, pleasure wondering in a game or something like that. There's a fun Gen Z term for it, but but it's essentially you just start a video game to enjoy and explore its environment without necessarily engaging with its main mechanics. I mean, you can, but yeah, but
that's kind of how I do.
I've been finding myself
I do
doing
that on
this.
a lot of games. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how
Just
I'd love to do that.
For sure. And I think it's something you have to be in the mood for, but
It's
is
like
nice.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Other games.
Yeah. I find myself often wandering through the Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yep.
Those are all really any of those games where you're in a historical setting. It's really lovely just to take in the sights,
I've spent time in the VR lobby just to take in the sights. Not even playing a game, just hanging out in the lobby of the Quest 2, just enjoying looking around.
Because it's pretty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. Well, that's great. Some good plugs there, PS Zombie. Thank you for that. I'm gonna step in real quick and just ask that Alex, can you give us a little bit back from your mic a little bit, and then PS Zombie, if you could actually get your mic a little bit closer to you. We had a little. Yeah. Oh wow, that's a little too close.
Whoa.
Yeah, too much. Alex, how was your weekend? What did you get into?
Is this better?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Am I coming in better now?
Yes, thank you.
Sweet. It was a good weekend, and I hung out a little bit around the house on Saturday and did a bunch of nothing, which was great. And then Sunday went up to the mountains to go see my mom, which was fun, and help her do just a bunch of stuff around the house. Then we took her out for lunch, and officially on Friday, so part of my weekend, accepted a new job offer. So I got a new job on the horizon.
Cool.
So thank you. Yeah, some super exciting stuff.
You are officially in Cirque du Soleil. Congratulations.
How did you know?
We knew you always wanted to do that.
I wish I do not have that in me. Either the physical strength or the ability to deal with heights. Those people are legends.
Dude, back to Zelda. There's a lot of sky stuff, and I legitimately was had fear of heights. Just messing around. I'm like, this is so dumb. I'm holding the whole video game in my hands, and I'm scared of heights right now.
That's wild. I'm afraid to get this game because I'm worried it's going to be too fun.
It is.
When
honestly.
I got Breath of the Wild, I don't think people didn't see me for 3 weeks.
I have to strategically play it because honestly, if I boot it up, I'm like, do I have 3-4 hours in a row to just play?
It's very interesting too when it's a good game. I've got hooked on Viva Pinata, and it was not that good of a game when it came out. but Alex remembers pulling me out of my room because I was like, I gotta get this pinata hatched. Hang on.
It's like they're doing a disco dance, so I was like, you need sunshine right now.
You are fatally like deficient in vitamin D.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm worried about you.
Yeah, man.
So, and that was for an okay game.
There, man.
I can't imagine what it'd be for a good game. Like between that and Jedi Survivor, I'm just gonna be like zoned into nothingness.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great. Let's see. What did you get into? Climate change? How are you? What'd you get into?
I'm good. I went home back to the rural countryside, did the family land with the family, and looked at some land. Basically walked down the middle of a stream with my dog for like a mile. It was kind of fun.
That's
and
awesome.
A lot of driving too. But it was overall a good nature-filled week. So.
There you go.
Yeah, there you have it, folks.
That's with the vitamin D. You've heard an account without vitamin D, and now you've heard the with vitamin D.
Yes, mine was not a vitamin D weekend.
And then we got
the weekend before that. I spent the whole time in my basement playing Age of Wonders 4, like the whole weekend.
So you have a balanced diet, really.
That's what we like to hear.
Just up and down, you know.
Mm-hmm. Vacillating wildly.
That's right.
PU2.
What's up?
I'm concerned that your Discord window might not be scrolling properly because I posted a meme and it's not on Twitch yet.
Oh boy.
Oh.
He did.
It is
now.
There
it is.
There you go. Now it's scrolling properly.
Okay. That's me. That was my weekend. But we'll get to me in a second. Leadbat, good to see you on the channel.
Thanks.
Game Observatory on YouTube. Check it out. It's great. It's awesome. He's got some good video essays there.
I'll be less enthusiastic.
There you go.
Hey, I added a sound effect. So
Climate Changer redeemed it with an air horn. We're good.
Yeah,
How was your weekend, my man?
That's great, pal. I took Mom out to barbecue and bought her some flowers. Only one of the roses' heads fell off giving them to her, so so that's that was good. She said, "Really?" And I was like, "They were $15."
Oh man, that's all right.
But they came with their own food, so I feel like that was a good deal.
The barbecue was the important part.
The barbecue is where we spend most of the money, so
that's right.
It was good barbecue. Yeah, exactly. Priorities, So that was good. I've been writing a lot. I'm working on my next video, which is going to be about dialogue in games and all the ways that it takes shape. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I
like branching dialogues.
Yes, like branching dialogue, and also systemic dialogue. Like it's a lot of things. It's like branching dialogue, puzzles that use dialogue as the context, systemic dialogue like The Sims, where you use symbols and abstractions to imply communication and what that does for player autonomy and replayability. We're going to go a little bit everywhere. So
that's
it's gonna be
awesome.
fun. Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it Mitch? It wasn't Mitch Hedberg. Maybe I feel like it was either him or Dimitri Martin that was like talking about flowers. He's like, it's a weird thing to get because it's like, here, now watch these die. Like it's like the same kind of thing. Watch these die.
This?
Well, with flowers, he talks about how flowers is a weird gift because it's literally like, here, watch these die. Same kind of thing.
That sounds like a very Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah, no, it was definitely. Well, the funny thing is like, Mom likes flowers, but it's not like her thing. Like she's not like, oh yeah, flowers. So it was just more of like a, like it was funnier and a better present that one of the heads fell off, or like one of the buds fell off when I gave them to her. That's very much our humor, so
nice.
It all worked out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of our Mother's Day package as well, so we got the flowers in there also. And we didn't do a lot. I mentioned earlier the Wi-Fi crisis. That has resolved itself today. I thought we'd have to cancel, but another internet company came through, and we got off the old one, so screw the old one. Yay for the new one. And Mother's Day went really well. Sophia Jane is her handle on Twitch. Find her, like it, follow her. She doesn't post anything on Twitch, but you can find her. And so that was a good Mother's Day. And then, of course, I had to watch the Darlington race, the NASCAR race.
Ooh.
So that was fun for me because I was trying to keep it together, managing the kids, and that was my zen moment, was just watching that, and it got a little crazy. I do want to do a quick rant on this, and I know like almost everybody but Alex is just not going to follow along with this rant, but
I probably won't either.
It was very interesting. Alex, did you see that Ryan Newman is coming back into the Cup Series for a little bit? Like he's like driving a little bit.
Yeah, I'd seen that. I don't know much about it, but I'd seen that.
So I tell this story, folks, because I've never related to somebody more than him. So he was a NASCAR racer back in the day. It's been like 10 years or so. He was pretty decent, but he's like coming back, and he's just doing a couple races. So it's kind of like a sports athlete coming out of retirement, right? So since he's been out of retirement, I'm going to tell you this whole back story real quick just so you can kind of appreciate this. Since he's been out of retirement, they've changed the type of car. They went to like a whole new generation of car. And so he was out there racing, and he didn't do so hot this past weekend was his first race back, and it wasn't good. And so they interview him afterwards, and I had never related to a sports athlete like this ever, because he was like the seat was uncomfortable, my ribs hurt, I gotta take a walk. It was just like, and he was like walking during the interview. He was like huffing along. He's like, it was hot in there. My ribs hurt. The seat was uncomfortable, and I was just like, yeah, I get it. I would be the same way. They made me run. They made me walk. So it was. And then, at one point he was just like, "Those idiots out there, they don't know how to drive." Like it was just a very funny interview for me, and I was like, I can relate to you. Like trying to keep up with the youngins. I get it. So
right. It sounds like NASCAR is a lot like my job as a programmer.
Yeah,
I sit, I'm uncomfortable, my ribs hurt. I don't know why.
Right.
It's hot in here.
But it's funny is like none of the other drivers really had, because they're all kind of used to it. But he was just like,
sure.
It's the seat, my ribs. It's just really funny.
My ribs.
So I pulled up an article about this because I remember seeing that he was coming back, but hadn't thought about it since you mentioned it until you mentioned it. But he said that he will only stay in the Cup Series, like he will stay out of retirement, quote, if it's fun.
Yeah.
So he's very
Yeah. So
understandable.
What a great philosophy.
But I share that just that I've never related with like an athlete or any sort of like sports person ever. Then in that moment, that was a perfect interview. And like he's just like walking, like he's just like, he's just walking. And like most interviews, you stop and they talk to the guy, they interview him or whatever. But he's just like walking randomly somewhere, and just reporters are following. So it was just really fun.
What is it about the like human brain that's like, if I just keep moving, whatever's wrong with me will go away.
Yeah.
Like, as if you can leave whatever your pain is wherever you found it.
I don't know, but
when sorry, go ahead.
I will say, so I've started to pick back up a little bit. I've taken a big hiatus from any sort of physical activity, and I'm trying to do more ultimate frisbee now, and I'm trying to get back into that and get ready for our summer league we have here locally. And so when we played, I did a practice night this past Thursday, and I did that. I just kept walking when I got done because I was like, I'm going to cramp up. I got to keep moving. I'm going to cramp up. And everybody was just kind of watching. I was just like, got to drink my water. So I feel like those people you'd see at the mall in the 90s that just like would speed walk for no reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what I was doing.
Like, Craig or PU2, are you wasted? Have you been? You're like, no, I've just been moving my bones.
Just moving my bones. Yeah.
Okay.
Got to get that lactic
like,
acid moving.
Need to hydrate. Does anybody have a saline drip I can get? I feel you, dog. Same.
Anybody got a Pedialyte? I need to get my stuff going.
Exactly.
Oh,
I feel you, brother. Me too.
Life in your 30s is fun.
Yeah, it is, don't it?
life
I've
in your
heard all
30s
the
is very
time.
weird.
Right.
Because on one hand, it feels like you're still like a young-ish, like you're a young adult, but at the same time, like I feel the clock ticking. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, but it just feels like a betrayal because I feel like I got plenty of time as a kid and in my teens. But as an adult, I feel like you just get used to being an adult before it's like taken from you. Does that make sense?
No, I get that. I get that. You're like, I'm just figuring this out.
I'm
Now
just
it's like
getting this
already
down.
on the next level.
Right. Now they're like, well, prepare yourself for the downward slope, and you're like, all
Should
right,
do all of that again, but now everything hurts even worse.
right. It's like, all right, cool, fine. I don't have any complaints though. The 30s have treated me right.
Yeah, same here. Well, guys, that's fun. Good to hear everybody had a good weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the PU2 channel. This here's the PU2 Cru. We're going to get started with some D&D here in just a second. Want to remind you they can find us on all the social medias. We also have a Patreon. We also have a Twitch store. And over there in the corner of the screen is our Discord channel that you could also post silly memes in as well. The link for that is on Twitch. It's what's fun about that Discord channel is not just the trolling that will happen, but also we will post some stuff in there that will help you follow along on this campaign. Okay, let's get into it, guys. It's been forever. Yay! All right, I'm going to pull up the... Well, hang on. Before I do that, let's go around the block one more time again. Alex, what are you playing in this campaign as?
So I am playing Rothaga. He's a lizard folk. He prefers damp marshes, but can do pretty much anything anywhere as long as it's not cold, and has proven to be fairly skillful with a blade.
Nice. All right, and PSW, what are you playing as?
I am playing as Luca, self-imposed leader of the group. I'm a half-elf bard who I'm just trying to get ahead in life, and I really don't worry about much else.
Very nice. A climate changer, what are you playing as?
I'm playing as Bagarath. He is, I guess, a homebrew race, the aberrant spirit who is playing as a paladin class. He's got a little healing, but mostly he's just kind of a tank. So, he does a few other things about that besides soak up damage. Yeah, like he enjoys dematerializing and falling asleep in small spaces. Things like
relatable.
Relatable.
Yeah.
You know, your everyday. So, and that's Bagarath.
Nice. And then last but not least, we had the self-proclaimed leader of the group. Now we have the publicly acclaimed leader of the group, Gerbil. Tell us about him, Ledbet.
Gerbil is a ranger and a goober. He harkens from the swamp. He's a human, but you would mistake him for the most awkward lump of something you've seen in the background of somewhere. This is lost on him because he's, like you said, self-proclaimed the leader of this group, despite being completely unqualified on paper. So,
Gerbil and the Warriors 3.
Luca, I'm so sorry.
All right, let's dive right into this. We are playing IBSTPSNIC, which stands for I Built a Sandcastle this past summer, and now it's a campaign! It's almost been a year since that fateful day of building that sandcastle. As we go into the land of Santopia, let's do a quick recap of the land of Santopia and where we were last week as the music cues me in. You're looking at the land of Santopia, a majestic kingdom built in the middle of a dark forest, a swamp, wasteland desert, and a row of beautiful mountains known as the King's Mountain, all of which are on the banks of the Great Sea. The Santopia prophecy is that 6 goes as such: 6 kings till kingdom's end. We are on the reigning 6th monarch of King Rose, so the kingdom is in panic. Last session, you guys went in underground to investigate the source of some tremors that have been caused in the earth, or that have been caused in the kingdom. As you made your way into the underground cistern, which is the water supply for the kingdom, you encountered a giant, rotting earthworm beast that you decided to fight. Well, at first you decided to flee, then your conscience got the best of you, and you decided to fight. Assisting the local dwarven population that are working in the mines underneath, you attacked the worm and were able to vanquish it and save the kingdom so that they would be free of the beast, but not without some cost. Unfortunately, the water table of the kingdom had been poisoned, and the kingdom suffered a lot of water loss to poisoning. And so you all made your way back up to the surface, and that's where we are now. I went a little too quick on that. Didn't get my timing perfectly. Shoot. All right. So it has been about 4 months. 4 months since you went down into the cavern. So we're going to kind of flash forward big time from when you were down underneath into the cistern. You left that encounter. You kind of assisted the dwarves and the knights and the Captain Drake to do cleanup and made your way to the surface, and you've been on patrol since. A couple of things that of note in this 4 months of what has happened. If you remember, the king was nervous that there was an invasion coming, so he tightened the borders of the kingdom. So traffic in and out of the city proper has been very, very limited. In addition to that, a total of 31% of the water table had been poisoned. Someone poisoned the water hole, and it was that giant worm you fought. And because of that, the dwarves had to sort of remedy that. So there's been a water shortage and rationing of water of the available water that was left. In addition to that, the well that was from the inner court and the royal palace, those wells that fed the water to those two districts were destroyed. And so water had to be pulled from the commoners and from the other districts. So people are a little pissy, because the water had to be pulled to give plenty of water to the inner court and the royal kingdom, and people did not like that. The water shortage and the increased security of the kingdom has caused a lot of angst, frustration, and outright protest within the city walls. You all are marshals. You guys have to keep the peace, but you are having a tough time as protest and thievery are starting to run rampant in the kingdom. And I see some Snickers, so let me see what we're missing on the meme.
You missed a bunch of memes.
I missed so many, and it didn't update.
I don't know why that just really cracked me up, but it did. I am
These
nothing.
are good.
I feel like if Bagarath had
Literally
a face,
nothing.
it would look like that face. Right?
That's great. I guess it's not updating. I'll have to keep opening the browser and it refreshing. So sorry about that, Twitch. We'll try to catch those as they come through. I'll be watching the channel a little closer now. Okay, you guys kind of get your present situation. You're just kind of been on patrol. The kingdom was very happy with your work down in the cistern. You were all bountifully rewarded. I'm going to roll a dice to see how much gold you earned from that encounter.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm going to roll a d20 and add a 0 to it. Well, that would just be a d1. That would just be a d100. Let me roll a d100.
Oh, I thought you were adding a 0. I was like, that's just the same amount. Because I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Let's go.
45 gold, folks.
Nice.
Okay.
So put that in your inventory.
What's the inflation rate here in Santopia?
Yeah.
High now because everything's being rationed. So where it's hard times, stock market's low, you know.
I don't know what everyone's complaining about. I love the savory flavor of the Royal Well. That's all I've been drinking since we were finished.
He likes his water a little spicy.
Yeah, I don't drink pure water.
Yeah.
It's bad for
LaCroix.
you. Yeah.
It's bad for you.
That's how the dwarves have been able to get the poisoning levels down. They've just been giving it to Gerbil.
That sounds right. I've been selling it as like Gerbil's Water Plus. I don't know.
No. I don't want to alarm anyone, but technically, if Gerbil drinks it and then we drink Gerbil urine, it's sterile. So he's like a filtration system for all the kingdom's water.
I do like that there is a
least
possibility
until
that
his
this
kidneys
crew
fail.
is going to be drinking my urine. That sounds
I'm
like
so uncomfortable with how that just all devolved so rapidly.
I mean, I'm not surprised
Hey,
personally.
desperate times.
I love that your first thought was like, wait a minute, before we get any
We'll
further.
turn him
We
into a
need to
water
know.
filter in the shape of Gerbil. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure you all were wondering.
It's been a lot of trying to.
It's been.
It's been
That's
4 months
exactly
since your
right.
excursion where you fought a giant worm. Da, 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 da. Drink some water. Now you're drinking piss. I don't know.
Gerbil Water Plus.
Oh,
Gerbil water.
is this how they make sparkling water?
Man.
It's a delicacy.
He's selling. You just pass a can of Gerbil with a bunch of cans and trying to sell it off to the population.
Nope, nobody buy that.
No one buy this.
He really needs the gold. He only has 45.
I do.
I'm curious. Let's see how your piss soda is doing in the kingdom. We're just gonna do a luck roll. It's not doing well.
I'm not-
It's
no. Insult to injury.
Well, not everyone has good taste, so
That's it.
I hate it here.
I hate it here.
Here's what we're gonna do, guys. You've been wandering around. Like I said, you've been kind of trying to quill a lot of protests. That's your main thing. Quilling. There's fights that kind of happen, like people getting into it and fighting over petty stuff. There's been a lot of outright defiance and protests. You've kind of had to quill as marshals. You've just kind of got in there and gotten rough, and nothing too bloody, but you've definitely tried to end a lot of conflicts. You've also had to catch a lot of petty thieves that are just doing it to try to run clean water. Outside of the city walls, there's the swamp, which you can refine that water to be drinking water. And you guys you've been trying to catch those runners that have been slipping past the city wall to get it. So that's kind of what you've been up to in this period. But you've been serving the king very well in that capacity. Better drink Gerbil's piss. There's the memes.
I'm so sorry.
It's an old meme.
That is such an old meme.
Old.
Oh,
It's
class.
like some throwback.
The classics
Vintage me.
are here.
It's an old meme, sir, but it checks out.
But check this out.
Our Zoomer audience doesn't know what's going on right now. They were
Like,
born
is that a
after
Star Wars
this
reference?
meme.
That's probably accurate.
I'm not ready for that realization.
While you guys are walking around, you notice one just sunny afternoon. Bagarath seems a little distant. Bagarath, you are starting to reflect on your time before you got to Santopia. We're going to have a little flashback with you. I'm going to change up music. You flash back to your time in the desert. And you can obviously help me with this because we talked a little bit about your background as a character, but we'll kind of paint the picture a little bit together, so feel free to interject.
Yeah, I think the desert would probably be more like the end of his backstory.
Okay.
He originally originated in more of a populated city, and as an orphan in this city, he sort of brought himself up, through all the hardships of that, and through his intelligence. Basically, he was a very intelligent person, and he eventually opened his own shop, became an inventor, and invented the commonly used item now, the bag of holding. So he understood, he was one of the first magicians, artificers that would have kind of understood the different planes and how to create a pocket dimension and that kind of thing. And but in the process of that experiment of creating that, he was pulled into the void and essentially disappeared. But he didn't die. He was trapped there, and over the ages he has pulled himself back up out of the void, but he is still he hasn't materialized yet. So he's just sort of, I don't know if I guess I took the whole backstory over there.
That's fine. We can work with it. So where did he get this suit of armor? While wandering?
I would say, yeah. So he fell into the void, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But for thousands of years he was trapped there, and the city he was in fell apart. But the point where he died was in an armory, and I suppose when he rematerialized, he took control of one of those suits of armor that were under the sand, and kind of pulled it out of the sand and emerged.
Cool. That's great. I can work with that. So you guys kind of so players, you can enjoy this. Your character wouldn't know what's going on, but Bagarath reflects on his discovery. He reflects on feeling elation and such happiness for figuring out the bag of holding in his device. And then you watch as he disappears into the void almost instantaneously. There was a couple of shopkeepers that were going to come by and see him, and there's just nobody there. They shout his name. They look around. There's nothing. It's an empty shop. We flash forward years and years and years and years and eons in the future. And there's this dusty landscape of the desert, which is for reference to the west of what we're looking at now in the city of the Kingdom of Santopia. Just a dusty desert. It's very windy this day. The dunes are blowing over. It's very hard to see. The sun is barely visible in the sky with a dusty storm coming up. And Bagarath is trying to sift through the sand. You guys, and he starts to have Bagarath. You remember reaching and clawing your way out of this sand pile. So give me a d20 roll.
All right.
You struggle. You start your joints start to fill up with sand. Your body inside of the void is starting to panic because you're starting to lose momentum, and you're starting to not be able to escape the sand. You feel like you can break free, but then your suit starts filling up with sand. You start to sink down, and you start to panic more in the void, but you don't give up. You reach back out. You try to interact with the material plane and interact with your suit once more. Give me another roll. Just d20's fine. Nice.
Ew.
Your strength and your will alone bust yourself out from the sand, and you look around, and it's a desolate place that you've emerged, but you feel that your connection with the material plane in the suit of armor is strong, and you are able to to get upright. You're able to get out of the sand. You pull yourself up piece by piece. Arms come free, head comes free, then arms, then torso, then legs, and you're able to stand freely on the sand. You shake some of the dust off, and you notice that there is a little bit of a lull in the storm as it goes from heavy sand flow and heavy winds to moderate, where you can see a little bit more. You kind of look around, you wander a while through the desert. There doesn't seem to be any sort of landmarks that you can see. You're in a really dune part of the desert. And you kind of can't, there's nothing that you can tell which way you're going, and you're just aimlessly wandering. And then you noticed that you come upon a clearing that is a certain part of the desert where there's a lot of cacti, and the sand here is a little bit more still and not as duney. You also notice that the winds have started to lull a little bit more. And you get an eerie feeling, though. You have some sort of third perception. Maybe it's the fact that you're in the void and you've got a certain connection that may be higher than the material plane, where you can sense stuff. Or maybe it's just a gut feeling. You're not quite sure, but something's up. And you notice, as you look over your shoulder, someone is approaching from behind. You can't tell who they are. They're tall, and they are in a bunch of wraps and turbans. Kind of can't see their skin or their build. And it's a long robe that this individual is wearing. And as you get a little closer, you notice that they are using a staff to get up closer to you. And as that individual gets closer, you almost as a fear response, just kind of freeze and watch this figure approach you. How do you respond in this moment, you think, Bagarath? You're new to your new body, emerging out of the sand, and this is the first creature that you've seen now that you're kind of in your new body.
I think after years, eons, of such like sensory deprivation, and I think that everything that's happened to Bagarath would be extremely like shocking, and especially any living being that's heading towards him, because he hasn't interacted with anything for like thousands of years. So he would probably like, a part of me thinks he would just remain still almost, and just sort of like try like do like body language just to see if it even knows he's there, kind of a thing, because to him it might just be his imagination for all he could. He's been alone for so long, so he's just kind of try to get its attention, see if it reacts to him at all.
As you're trying to discern if this is your imagination, a mirage, or something real, it acknowledges you and gives you a nod and approaches you and puts a hand on your shoulder. With its other hand, it drops the shroud over its face that is keeping the sand from beating on its face. And you notice the unique coloration of a red tiefling. You see the horns and you see the reddish colored skin. And this individual looks at you. You can tell he's male tiefling. His eyes seem to almost pierce you with intensity. He gives also a fiery, intense vibe to him. And he says, "Traveler, it's not a night." No, sorry. Let me get the voice down. "Traveler, not the time to travel. Where is it you are headed, friend?" And he very inquisitively glares at you with intensity.
I think he's going to struggle to produce sound for the first time. So it's going to come like almost illegibly out, just kind of like he's gonna be like anywhere but here, and he wouldn't know where he is. He just wants to move and be somewhere else. So, yeah. Anywhere. Where have you come from?
His inquisitive looks and intense eyes turn into intense eyes and a curved smile, and he says, "Around. Allow me to give you shelter." And then he puts his hand to his chest and say, Radis Logren. Allow me to lead you to an area where we seek refuge during the sands of the desert. And he leads you to his camp. Do you follow?
Cool. Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to pause the desert winds because you learn over your time away that this individual has a very dark past, and you learned to fear that name. This was an individual that was cast out from the kingdom. He was a white-collar criminal, and you all know, just all of you know, that the desert houses many criminals. Those capital murders, like those that like to murder, and those more serious crimes worthy of death, and then the petty crimes like the robbers and the thieves, but then also the white-collar crimes. And those individuals are highly organized, and they're highly organized under Radis Logren, the individual you met that day. He goes by a more cryptic name that a lot of people may or may not know that are familiar with the desert area, called the Sun Devil. And so you did not like his shady dealings. He was never outright evil or mean to you, but his dishonesty and how he ran things were a little too intense for you. So I would imagine Bagarath would be turned off to that environment, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So eventually, further in your life, you encountered Luca and the Gerbil and the Warriors 3. So you had that flashback, and you're kind of just zoned out as you are walking behind the rest of the crew. I'm imagining in when you guys are patrolling, Luca's first, right? Luca, you've got probably the command of the group.
Yes, I do like to appear to be in charge, regardless of the reality. Appearances are all that matter to me.
There you go. And people are still saying, it's the Gerbil and the Warriors 3. And like Gerbil, he's probably getting a lot of attention from this. I don't know how Gerbil's reacting from...
Yes, come here. Yes. Let's get close to the smell.
I turned to Gerbil and say, "You're Luca now. I'm Gerbil."
There's just like a woman with 2 kids just going, no. No, we won't. Yeah, so that's happening. What is Rathaga doing? Is he just kind of... How is he interacting in this group as you guys are moving through a disgruntled city?
I'm trying to distance myself. Not a whole lot, but I'm kind of hanging back, just trying to make myself scarce.
So you have a zone, you have kind of a Bagarath that's deep in thought, you've got a Rathaga that is not wanting to be associated with the other group, and you've got Luca and Gerbil in the front. You guys are making your rounds. You're over near Soldiers Row, which you know happens to be kind of the more middle class area. And there is a stage that has been makeshiftly made. A podium, almost like where you would see a herald of old, announcing to the public what's going on. But they've assembled some boxes. Some of the locals have thrown together some boxes and made a makeshift stage. And there's a speaker on it. This is a familiar sight for you guys. You can see that there's some sort of protest already starting to form over on this section. You were a little annoyed. You just quilled one in the exchange court earlier today, and another one has popped up over on this side of town. And there is a young halfling that is standing on these boxes and trying to rally the locals and get them riled up. And so he is saying something to the effect of, "The king has abandoned us. We need not fear prophecy, because he has ruined us and run us in the ground without one. We have no water. We have no security. He has ruined. He has upped the taxes of the city." This another point, folks, is that he is taxing a little bit more to help with things for some random reason. So, we do not need to live under these conditions. We need to take the kingdom for ourselves, run our own way of living. And he is going in, and you notice the crowd is like, yes, yeah, he has to make some good points and stuff like that. So that is what you were stumbling into. Great meme. These are good memes, folks. All right. So, Gerbil and Warriors 3, what do you do upon coming upon this site?
So there's a town crier kind of person?
Yeah, just a protester, really, a rebel rouser trying to get the people to potentially revolt or to resist or to upright. You kind of can't tell which direction it's going to go, but he's sowing discontent.
I was
now, just to be clear, I was making memes, so I might have phased out.
Perfect timing. I need to ask you a question.
But is this guy protesting against the kingdom, or is he protesting against us?
The kingdom. Yeah, the kingdom's upset. There's a lot of stress going on right now. They're having to pay a little bit more taxes. They've been rationed water heavily, and they can't go outside of the city walls hardly ever. So they are disgruntled and unhappy as a kingdom. And the king, feel like, is not doing a good job.
So is this speaker is he up on a platform or something?
Correct.
Does he have, well, perhaps it's time then. I am going to change into my most resplendent clothing with my shift weave. And I'm going to hop up on stage with him. And,
you want me to come and be like a bodyguard?
I'll address the crowd now that we have everyone's attention. I will say, "People of Santopia, it is I, Luca, leader of Gerbil and the Warriors 3.
Gerbil kind of stands up. He's not on the platform, but he's beneath Luca, and he's like, "It is I, Gerbil, the leader of the leader of the Gerbil and the Warriors 3." And no one really hears me because I'm not on the platform.
And I'll say, "We."
I get drowned out by the audience.
Us, who stopped the beast who tainted your water. And it's us who has been striving this whole time to ease the burden on the people of Santopia, as the king ignores our needs.
You agree to it too? He agrees to it too!
I do agree, I do agree. And I think it's time, perhaps, for a change in Santopia. Now, you may be asking yourself, what right do you have, Luca, leader of the Warriors 3 and Gerbil, to make such a claim? Well, today I am coming out with an announcement. I, Luca, no last name come up with yet, have a legitimate claim to the throne of Santopia. My mother was the bastard child of whichever king was a philanderer. I forget which one now, but one of them definitely was.
Yep.
The last one, I think.
Clover.
Clover. That's right. Luca Clover is me, myself. And with my mother passed, that honor passes to me, nephew of the king. And if he proves himself unwilling or unable to ease the burdens of these people, I will take that burden upon me.
There is a large amount of shock in the room, and it's almost, you remember in IT Crowd where the boss has a funeral for his mother, and one of the IT guys goes and tries to give him heavy metal music to grieve, and he looks over and the boss is just like yelling face at him, but it's quiet. The guy on the stage is kind of like very pointing and like very confused. I'm gonna need some sort of charisma, maybe a performance, maybe a persuasion roll.
Bagrat's gonna try to help him though. Okay. Bagrat's gonna be like, I believe him too. Yes, he must be right. He's gonna be saying that kind of stuff from the crowd.
Okay, so y'all give me those rolls, and we'll settle that, and then I want you to do another roll for me here.
I'm going to attempt to
I also want to throw in there that Gerbil supports this king-elect.
Okay.
I'm going to
Or,
attempt to persuade
I don't know if he's
this
technically
crowd.
elect, but self-prescribed.
Because I guess it's ultimately up to you, but Luca genuinely believes this is true. This is what his mother told him, was that she was the bastard child of Clover.
So...
and also, thanks to my subclass, I have a silver tongue, so if I roll lower than a 9 on my persuasion check, it gets boosted to a 10. And indeed I did. Roll lower than a 9. So, that is a 20.
You are feeling that the crowd is pretty supportive. They're a little confused still because this is pretty out there as far as the lineage goes. They're confused, but they seem to believe you. But while you're convincing them, I want... let me ask the group. Is pretty much everybody watching this? Gerbil and Bagarath, you said you've already wanted to contribute to help Luca. Rathaga, are you kind of watching his thing, or are you kind of watching the crowd? Where are your eyes?
I'm checking out the crowd as they're kind of doing their thing behind them. Still trying to... I'm obviously with them as the leader of Gerbil's and the Warriors 3.
Okay.
Checking out the... Just watching the crowd.
So I will let you do a perception check then if you want to, Rothaga, since you are kind of looking. Everybody else, can you just tell me your passive perception, please? It would be on your character sheet over there at the side on the left
10.
margin. 10, okay.
Mine is perception.
It's like under where all your skills are.
Yeah, if you go directly down from your skill points,
Mine is
passive wisdom.
it's not the it's not. Is it the one with the checkboxes?
It's
right below.
Right below the box where the checkboxes are. It's right above the tools, below.
Oh, okay, 12.
Okay. What is yours, Luca?
He did not perceive
13.
that.
13? Okay, so you guys are focused too much on this convincing the crowd and working the room. And you seem to have effectively worked the room. People are kind of believing, a little confused, but kind of believing you. But Alex, Rothaga notices that among the commotion, when you pander over to the castle wall, you guys are, if you look at the map that's on the screen, top left corner. So you see, let me ping it so you can see. You guys are about right here. I mean, you're touching the castle wall. You guys know, Rathaga, you noticed that top of the castle wall's burning. There's a little black smoke coming out of the top of the castle wall there.
Hmm.
And it's not a little smoke. It's like an active fire.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to want to bring people's attention to that.
Okay, how do you do that?
Most-
Because everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid of Luca right now.
And some people
Luca.
are drinking the Kool-Aid of Gerbil.
The piss Kool-Aid! I don't know.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, gosh.
Gerbil Water Plus is proud to endorse our righteous King Luca.
So you talk about campaign
Bagger
sponsors.
Gonna, like, point at the smoke and say, "Look what the king did." It's the king's fault.
Well, you're zoned in, Bagarath, on the working over the room. But Rathaga, how do you want to? Do you alert the crew first, or do you alert the whole public? How do you handle this?
I want to try to alert the crew. Who would I be closest to?
Well, Luca's on the stage, so not Luca. Gerbil is under the stage. Bagarath, where are you kind of positioned, do you think?
Front row.
Okay, so
Okay.
probably
The crowd.
Bagarath would be the closest.
Okay, then I'm just going to try to get to Bagarath and, like, get his attention and point to the smoke.
Okay.
Okay, now Bagarath,
Just
what
so we keep
do you
passing the
kick that
message
line in? Do you keep that line you just said earlier?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
Hey, Rathaga, watch this. I'm gonna get everybody. Yeah. That's what he does.
okay, and you announce that to the crowd that the current
Yeah,
king.
he points up and
Everybody's gasping. People start crying and shrieking and running away. There's local militia that passed by, and they were like, "The marshals, what are you guys doing on stage?" And then they notice the fire too. They're like, "Oh my god!" And they run in there. So you guys, at this point, the crowd is panicking, and there's sort of a mad dash away from the wall, but it's almost like a stampede of people. So it's like panic. The militia is trying to get into the city wall. There's a little like half door entrance there, a little bit beyond, closer to the turret tower in the center of the map, where there's a side door that they're trying to get into. What do you all do in this moment?
oh my gosh, I can't believe the king let this happen. That's what he's saying.
As the crowd's like dispersing, I'll be like, "We'll put a pin in this. Come back to it real
This is why
soon."
we should have alerted the crowd.
It's like a timing thing. It's not great.
Since everything's not great.
The kingdom's on fire. It's not convenient for me, though.
It's like announcing your presidential campaign like right before a hurricane or something.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like just get
Yeah.
overshadowed in the media. You're like, dang it.
It was the
Totally.
It's
you
supposed to be all about me.
you literally had a Jeb Bush campaign when you were trying to where you said, "Please clap."
Yeah.
Please
for sure.
clap.
Yeah, please clap. I'll kind of hop down from the stage and be like, "We need to put out this fire now."
True citizens of Santopia drink Gerbil Water Plus. Scream as we run towards the fire.
And I'm like, "That's it, the Gerbil water."
Oh no!
Gather it all up.
Yes.
It weirdly gasolines the fire. It makes the fires larger
gosh.
for some reason.
Yeah.
We gotta get you to a doctor, man.
The entire wall is just collapsing now. I know, right? It's like, I mean, it burns when I pee, but I thought that was normal.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, Alex.
He's just.
It's fine.
Oh man.
It's fine. I'm just
fine.
not touching the water.
Can we see what causes the fire? I mean, can we see it? Do we have any indication?
Sure. Well, you don't on the city wall. You just see black smoke coming from the very top of the wall, like out through the top of a section of wall. So castle wall. You got a giant wall in front of you, and then
so it could just be a controlled burn then.
Could be, but not by this
standard
panic
burn on the wall.
Just in the middle of castle walls,
Yeah.
Catch fire all the time.
Just to keep the fields fresh, Like, gotta
So
make sure the grass grows strong.
you go into the hatch that's open, and you notice that when you go into the hatch and follow the local militia to check this out, you notice that it's kind of fortified. The door's thick. It's got a couple crossbars that would really secure it. So no one needs. They've made this area very defensible and secure. So once you go in, you notice a room that you've never seen throughout your whole time in Santopia. Imagine, if you will, a greenhouse that is set inside of two castle walls. So you enter the wall that's thick sandstone into a chamber that's open air. So you can look up through between the both walls, and it's just sky. You're in sort of an atrium greenhouse, and you notice that there's just rows and rows of food. Like corn being grown here, and beans, and vegetables and fruit. This is like a food storage or a food production area that the military manages for the people. This is kind of like where some of the food is produced, and it just runs the whole wall section. So that whole section between that turret in the middle, all the way along Soldiers Row. It's a huge swath of the city walls, inside of the city walls, that this has been done. And this is an area where they grow the food. And there is many a row of food that is being doused out with water. And this looks like a act of terrorism, honestly, to you, because you see that the food and vegetables here have been burned. The local militia run ahead of you and seem to be controlling the burns. And so there's really not a lot you do but watch that happen. But then your eye travels pretty easily, because it's pretty obviously in the middle, to a heavy, it looks like a tent you would live in, but made out of thick brick. So it's like some sort of a bunker or fortified building in the middle of a bunch of rows of corn. And there is panic around it. These soldiers are losing their mind. Not because there was a fire. You would think that would be the cause of the panic, is the fact that they have burning stuff going on here in the middle. But they are freaking out about what's going on around that building. You can't tell. You're a little too far. You're about 80 feet from it. But there's something that happened in that building that is causing them to freak out. So what do you do? I need some music.
Anybody want some popcorn? On the way? I can't really taste it, but just tell me how it tastes, okay?
Gerbil reaches out and grabs like a fully carbonized kernel, like just completely like ashen, like and I'm like, it's delicious.
Luca,
I am very jealous.
literally could not give two shits about anyone in his party. It's like, you can't taste. Like, I've not noticed this whole time that you are just the suit of armor guy. I'm like, I still think he's just a human guy.
That's the thing. That's what disturbed you.
What a leader.
Can't do it.
Rothog is too busy running around frantically telling people not to drink the water. It's like desperately trying to get the message out.
I guess let's ask one of the shocked soldier people what's going on.
Okay. I usually don't endorse.
I'm gonna be like,
Go ahead, Lucas. Sorry.
I'll just be like, Get a hold of yourself, man. What's going on here?
I don't endorse language on this stream, but I have to communicate the point.
Or woman.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be a male soldier.
Okay, good point. You go up to
I'll leave that
female half-elf soldier. Looks a little bit in her late middle-aged, and she just kind of flips her hair
Like,
nonchalant.
disgusting hag. What's going on here?
She not even fazed by that because she's so distraught. Just they fucking took it, and she walks away. They the source of our food, the most researched source of food in this whole kingdom. They came in here and took it. Nothing we could do about it. You guys notice when she says that too, that there is other soldiers tending to dead bodies of dead military and militia members. Not many. I would say a dozen or so scattered throughout the whole area. But she just says they fucking took it and walks away. And when she walks away, she kind of gestures towards the bunker. Like there was something there that got taken.
Gerbil just immediately drops to his knees and just screams, "No! They took it!"
They took it all.
Not really knowing exactly what that implies. Like, I mean, obviously, like, it's pretty clear
Okay,
this
so-
is bad, but Gerbil doesn't really know.
So since Luca grew up in Santopia, do I know what they're referencing?
You can give me a history or some sort of knowledge roll, because this is
Alright,
some
I'll try
top
history.
secret level stuff.
Try a little bit of history. We'll see.
No
Not
clue.
so good.
This is the first
So-
time you've been in this area. You didn't know they grew fruit in the city walls.
Like, I thought they were like farms or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just, activating the divine senses here. That's disturbing seeing. Want to know if there's any evil that might be the source of this.
Okay. I gotta read this description. Presence of a strong evil registers your senses like a noxious odor. And powerful good rings like heavenly music in your ears.
Both?
It's the only
As an
thing I can
action,
smell.
you can use your awareness to detect
Oh.
fortunes. Till the end of your next turn, you know the location of a celestial fiend or undead. You know the type of celestial fiend or undead. It's not. It's not the. You get no ping for celestial fiend and undead section of that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a strong evil.
This was
You don't
somewhat
really get a.
natural. I don't sense the presence of any demonic forces here. This was done by common people, I would think. And I guess you got to do a history check. Let me do an arcana check. See if I can. Is there any magical residues? Other than Gerbil.
Oh no.
Yeah! Hell yeah.
Piss smell of Gerbil.
Oh, God.
Nothing. There you can kind of tell there was some maybe simple cantrips that were used. Is probably the only thing with a 13 you can tell. There was somebody that kind of used simple cantrips to do it. But there was you could tell that some sort of thief kind of used some form of magic with simple stuff. Nothing like a major high level spell or nothing like a ritual. It was simple magic that you kind of get a little.
So they
hints
probably
of.
set it on fire with like prestidigitation and not fireball.
Yeah, just like simple stuff. But
Cool. I think they probably used Prestidigitation spell of some kind. That's all I know. That's all he could find out.
Rathaga, do you want to do anything?
Yeah, let me try. I don't know if a perception. Never mind. Because I was thinking about maybe doing like a history or an insight, but just to try and get a better sense of what's going on.
Yeah, you could do an investigation. You could do a perception. You could do a history check. History check may not do you much good because you're from the swamp, so you don't really know what's. But
swamp history can be helpful anyway.
Okay, sure.
So don't doubt my lessons. Do an investigation check.
Oh, good. Okay. So your investigation doesn't yield much in the way of what of like finding what was stolen. All right, but you can tell there was a break-in that happened. This seems to be a vault. You can tell that what was stored here was some magical food source. It was a magic. You find out that among whispers of the guards and kind of talk and looking over some of the documents that were still left at the crime scene, there was a research seed that would produce high yield food. So basically, this seed had the ability of producing up to 50 times yield of a food source. So it was this like engineered seed could give you a field's worth of wheat, for example. It had a high yield output, so it was really like steps ahead of the times of like getting food. So this was like Santopia's answer. Like it was kind of hard sometimes in some of the famine months that has happened through the years of the kingdom, and this has been the solution of the kingdom to kind of have these seeds that can produce a lot of food in just one. Well, the formula and the original seed and a lot of the documents or recipe, if you will, that was used to make this were ransacked and stolen. And with a 20, I'll even say that you find a weird symbol at the crime scene as well.
Okay. So I'm going to turn around and share with the group everything that you just shared.
Okay.
Am I able to like draw the symbol or even write it in the dirt to show people?
You do. You actually found it kind of etched in the dirt very crudely. It's kind of like 2 sevens that look like they were used as claw marks. And you kind of etch that really quick and you explain and then you show. Luca does that symbol. You can't quite tell. Gerbil, it's not piss water. You can't figure it out. But Bagarath.
I'm just picturing the SS symbol for Nazi Germans.
Yeah. I said 7, not S.
Oh no.
My bad.
Bagarath.
Sorry for jumping to conclusions. I don't know.
It's alright.
It was just the first thing I pictured. Maybe that says more about me than you.
And this is a symbol that was left by the people who committed the destruction/terrorism?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure I got that. In which case, I mean, maybe we got some sand Nazis in here. Who knows?
It's that made me think of a rogue faction of the Tuscan Raiders. To me, that's what it sounded like to me. Like the Sand People. Like there's a rogue faction of the Sand People
that are extra dictatorial.
Bagarath, that symbol strikes extreme familiarity with you and a little bit of fear as you associate that with that individual that helped you in the desert and his clan.
Oh.
Mark of the Sun Devil.
I think I know what this symbol means. The mark of the what?
Sun Devil.
The Sun Devil. They are not the most noble group, obviously. But I do have an idea where they might be.
Right. I do.
Sorta.
You do.
Okay.
Out in the desert.
Yeah. Perhaps, Luca, with your new sway over the city, you could bring the entire guard with us to take over their fort.
They may still be loyal to the king, but Luca definitely looks like way too happy about this for like what a tragedy it is. It's like, but if we get this back, we'll have the thing that'll save the city. This bid is going to work 100%. So I just need you to stick with me a bit longer. All of you will be my top cabinet. You'll have anything you want. Santopia will be ours. All we have to do is get the seat back. And so yeah, I'm pretty pumped about this turn of events.
Nice. Okay.
So
Cool.
we may not have the city guard, but we're the only ones who has the loyalty of the mountain folk, and I show my brand. I say, between these two things, we'll have the food to the city. We'll have our own army. The king won't be able to defy us. Gentlemen, Santopia is effectively ours.
Cool.
Gerbil,
Yes.
you'll have kingship over all of the kingdom's creatures. You'll be head zoologist, or whatever you want to be.
Sounds very official.
I've always wanted to be the head zoologist of Santopia. This is an honor, my king.
It's yours. Rothaga,
Everyone's got to have dreams.
You'll be head of Parks and Recreation. All the land of Santopia will be under your jurisdiction to do as you please. You can turn it all into a swamp if you want.
May I outlaw piss drinking?
You must, in fact. I insist.
I'm 100% on board.
Gerbil looks around kind of shiftily, like, I'm gonna have to revise the ingredient list on Gerbil Water Plus.
Bagarath will be the captain of the guard. All of the armies of Santopia shall be under you.
Perfect. I mean,
and whatever else you want. If you want to be happy, I genuinely don't care.
He sounds like he knows what's going on.
Shall be king. We just need to do this one final task, and it's all ours.
I mean, how serious can this fire devil be anyway? You know, that's not really scary. So I'm not that worried about it.
It's all about what it's worth, you know?
Yeah.
To gain everything, what would you do? You'd do anything.
That's deep.
Hell yeah.
And I think if the prophecy says the kingdom's doomed, well, I say it just means this era is doomed. This 6th king is doomed. 6 kings till kingdom's end, and then the 7th rise again.
Ooh.
And I shall be the 7th king.
Very good.
Nice.
I just got chills.
That was really good, yeah. I'm going to have to clip that later. 136, I got to clip that.
Well, I'm kind of sad because you haven't checked it, but that's been in my bio the whole time, if you check my character's bio.
I remember you texted me about that. I remember you texted me about that originally. I had forgotten about it, but that's good.
So, I guess Rothaga was the one who figured all of this out. Does anyone know what we're looking for or where to find it? I'll be honest, I don't know anything about what's going on.
That was a lot of drum roll for nothing.
We had so back
It's my
at home,
job to demand solutions, not to supply them.
back home we had a very aggressive rooster that would start to squawk from the early wee hours all the way to noon, and we used
I
to call
relate
him
to
the
this
fire
rooster.
devil.
Ah.
I'm convinced that he and his brethren did this because they once tore down our storage shack behind the house. I'm just staring at Luca with the most like earnest, like we have to go back to my home in the swamp as soon as possible.
So, at this point,
As our resident zoologist, I'm almost certain of it.
I'm like kind of facing Gerbil, but like my eyes are darting to Rothaga and Bagarath looking for like, is this what it is?
Literally anyone else.
I
saved the
don't
situation.
know it. I don't know enough about it to say no.
Don't worry, I'll lead us right there. You know, Gerbil's very eager.
So, Bagarath.
I can't stop making memes.
Hey, it's fine. It's fine. It's helping out our Discord. I just got to keep refreshing it. Changed my mind. Perfect.
I'm excited. I gotta check.
Bagarath, you know that to the camp of where the Sun Devil is and his kind of clan, his group, there are 3 ways into the desert. And most of you know, most of everybody else knows this too, particularly Rothaga and Gerbil, that there is essentially 3 different ways across the desert. One is known as the Shifting Sands. And let me give you actually a different map to look at as I'm telling you all this. So you can see.
Ooh, do we get desert music?
Yeah, we can do some desert music. That's a good idea. As we're talking about the desert, that makes sense. The desert is actually called Prison Wastelands, just so you know. All right, give you a little quick overview of everything here. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the Prison Wastelands originally gets its name from the fact that that's where prisoners went when they messed up inside the city. They would get banished, and it was a way of kind of humanely treating somebody so you didn't have to murder them or hang them in the gallows. So the king would just send them off into the Prisoner Wastelands. Over the years and over the different monarchs, the Prisoner Wastelands has sort of morphed into different factions. You have the sort of higher crime, the white-collar crimes, like the forgery and those kind of things, that have sort of unionized under one leader. You don't know this. You don't know much about that leader or that group except Bagarath. Bagarath knows that to be the clan, and Sun Devil to be kind of the organizer under that. You also have those that were capital murderers, like murderers and rapists, and those people that did capital murder and kind of capital crimes. Those individuals don't make friends. They just kind of hang out in the wastelands. They may or may not interact with a small tribe of like 2 or 3 people, but most of the time they're loners that just kind of wander the whole landscape of the Prisoner Wastelands. Then you also have the robbers and the thieves and the thugs. Those individuals are kind of clustered by camps throughout the Prisoner Wastelands. So they've kind of got different tribes that are based off of just like region where they grew up or common interests. So they are a little bit just pocketed together throughout the landscape. So that's what you know to be general information on the Prisoner Wastelands that all of you know. Bagarath, you know that along the Kingdom Wall is an area called the Shifting Sands. It's called the Shifting Sands because of 2 reasons. One, there's a lot of sinking sand. The kingdoms settled. The castle was built and kind of settled here, and caused a lot of tectonic plates movement to happen there. That causes a bunch of sinkholes and sinking sand to happen on that side of the kingdom wall. That is a way to travel into the prisoner wastelands, but hardly everybody goes that way because of the natural hazards. Also, there's a lot of burrowing creatures here that like to go underground. Some of them very large, known as something starts with a B. What's the name of it? Bullet, Bullette. They're like large creatures that kind of burrow under the ground. They love to play in the shifting sands area. So that's kind of just a lot of natural hazards, and so a lot of people don't travel that way. The other way is the most common way to be traveled, but the most a little bit a high casualty rate. We'll say that is called the Road to Banishment. The Road to Banishment actually runs along the King's Mountain, and it's how every criminal goes into the prisoner wastelands. It runs along the King's Mountains, goes past Clover and Timber and Mount Rose into the prisoner wastelands. The problem with this area is this is where a lot of the thieves and robbers hang out because they're trying to get stuff from people. So it's a lot of prone to ambushed and individuals that like to jump out and rob you. You'll find that along the Road to Banishment because that's where criminals are entering into the prisoner wastelands. The other way, and the last way, is down from the top. So you see the swamp is at the very top of the kingdom, and it kind of morphs into the prisoner wastelands. You can go through the swamp to get over to the prisoner's wastelands. However, Gerbil knows that this is kind of a hostile way because the Dragonborn folk patrol that border between the prison wastelands and the swamp land, and they are very hostile to outsiders. Also, Rothaga, you have a bad taste in your mouth if anybody mentions that area of the kingdom because they refer to you as smooth skin. There's a lot of looking down upon your lizard folk people by the Dragonborn. Back in days of old, the lizard folk and the Dragonborn shared that area north of the kingdom before a swamp was created by the building of the Santopia. And the Dragonborn feel betrayed that the lizard folk stayed and made a new life there. And they are very, very hostile, particularly to lizard folk. So you don't have a good...
Rude.
Yeah, you don't have good vibes for them at all. So those are your three options. You can go through the shifting sands, you can go south through the Road of Banishment, or you can go over top through the swamp spillway. And you kind of present that to the group. And then you all have your own personal story that kind of connects with that. Like, for those of you like Gerbil and Rothaga, you really know a lot about the swamp way. Bagarath, you kind of know each route to be the same because of your corporeal form. It didn't matter. And then Luca, it's all foreign to you. You've never gone. You've probably never ventured out in the wastelands, right? Okay, so
No, I spent my whole life in the city.
Okay. Let's see. There's a new meme. I will refresh that while the group thinks.
Which way is the fastest? I'll ask the people who know.
Do I know which is the fastest? Just like...
You do. Shifting stands is the most direct route.
Okay.
It's also the most dangerous.
It's probably the one we shouldn't go on, I would think.
These beans are great. You guys are really...
The swamp.
I'll say
And
this.
what else?
I'll say thus far we've done fine against combatants. We've done poorly against environments. So I'm
Very
all for
true.
I'm all for the conflict route, not the
Yeah.
The
difficult
endurance route. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair. That's fair.
You can go through the bottom, through the around King's Mountain, known as the Road to Banishment. You can go up top to the swamp. that takes you
So
through the
it's like, do we
territory
want
of the
to-
Dragonborns.
Do we want to be like mugged, or do we want to fight Dragonborn?
Yeah, be burned alive or electrocuted.
Yeah, it depends on their color.
Choices.
I like the idea of taking down a bunch of Dragonborn.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
While
I think
we're
you're
doing-
right. We do
There
better
is
than
an
direct
environmental
combat.
factor probably with a swamp. I would
I
think.
feel really good about the swamp. if
You've
I'm
got
being
2
honest.
people from the
Yeah.
swamp that could help you navigate it. And one of them's probably
Well-
very excited to be home.
We should
Yeah.
be careful because the Sun Devil, as in my rooster, is probably somewhere.
Rothaga, how long has it been since you've been home?
Far
the-
too long.
Yeah. Perhaps we should just go pass through that way, just in case. Just for family reasons.
For family. I say yes to the swamp.
All right. Yeah, that's Bagarath's on board with the swamp as well.
Okay. So you guys make an agreement, kind of come to a plan of headed to the swamp, going up top to go around to the desert, to the prison wastelands. So how do you plan to get out of the kingdom? You are in a section of the city where you just have one more wall. You could honestly just try to figure out a way out of here through the wall and out. If you want, do you want to do that? Just walk straight out, use your official title. Do you want to do it stealthily? Do you want to go another way out of the city? How do you want to get out of Santopia?
Wait, so did we decide we were going swamp, right? Swamp?
Yes.
Yeah, swamp.
Yeah, terrific.
I mean, if
Um,
you're willing to chance the Sun Devil, sure.
I think we're gonna try to go out with pomp and circumstance. I want to go out the front door like, we are going to retrieve the kingdom's food. Worry not, your saviors will return shortly. I don't really know. If
We will
anyone's
slay the
listening or not.
rooster that's
Very
done this.
Very summer rooster.
Are you convincing them? Are you sort of doing a performance? What are you? How are you doing that?
Yeah, I think it's a performance.
Okay, give me that roll, and I'll say Gerbil
think
kind of
so.
helped you there.
A performative.
Helped.
I'll give you advantage.
Oh, let's do one more then.
Ooh. I
12
think
it is.
I think people are so upset and distraught. They're just kind of like, yeah, because there's still panic, and they're like, yeah, sure, if you can handle it, yeah. And so you easily make your way out of the city with pomp and circumstance. You make your way out, so you're going to choose to kind of make your way out with pomp and circumstance. So that means you exit out of the wall where there's mostly soldiers into the public. So are you trying to do anything with the public before you kind of head out? Do you want to try performing again? Do you want to try to tell them what's going on? They're kind of not sure.
I don't know how overt I want to be in front of the guard because I'm still kind of worried they're loyal to the real king, you know.
Well, you were in mostly a guarded area with guards. Now you're kind of more out into the general public. So there's not as much military presence out here because they all shifted inside, you know? So it's kind of like an unsupervised crowd.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do another round of showing off. Where I say, "Put your faith in me. I shall return shortly. Your king is too impotent to act, but I shall respond immediately to this crisis. Worry not, your belly shall be full soon."
All right, give me another performance.
Performance.
Oh. Didn't mean to send that one, but
Bagarath is really pumped about it.
Yeah. So they're accepting. They kind of let you pass through. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, all right. And you make your way out, and Gerbil and Rathaga take you a pretty easy route into the swamp. As you're traveling
Home.
yeah, as you two are going home, and the others are in tow. Rathaga is kind of leading the way with Gerbil, and you've got Bagarath in the back of the line again, being a little bit more introspective. And
okay.
he's dwelling on the Sun Devil and his interactions with him. And you know deep down, this is going to go bad. And you have a feeling of dread. And you all march into the unknown against an enemy with some unknown motives. And that's where we'll end our session tonight of IBSTPSNIC.
Wow, 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 wow.
Well, that was a fun ride, guys. There was memes. There was
So many memes.
jokes about piss. There was just lots of interactions.
So many jokes.
There was
I'm so
flashbacks.
We weren't joking, right? Everyone, we weren't joking.
Indeed, clearly joking.
Yeah, it's
All
all
right. All right.
Of course, of course.
I was really just trying to joke about drinking the poison water as Gerbil, but it just turned into a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Thank our DM for that.
It's all right.
I'm a yes and kind of guy. There's hardly any lines here.
Yes, man.
Maybe we'll get some views about that, but just being completely crazy and off the rails.
Yes.
What was that giant caterpillar thing from Futurama that Slurm?
Oh yeah.
Slurms Mackenzie.
Oh. Yeah, Slurm
That-
Mackenzie.
Wow, that's been such a long time.
I probably rewatch Futurama at least once a year.
I probably
Well, and
should.
that
It's been since
particular
college.
episode was like season 1, I think. It was like
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
really
So
old
good.
episode. Yeah, Futurama's great.
Thank you all for joining us. A couple quick shout outs on Twitter. Thank you, Horgar Ironside. Thank you for the Lady Slavd. Thank you to a couple other retweets as well. Thank you, Lavana. Thank you, Pepper the Goblin. We appreciate the retweets and the help on the promotion. Thank you, Forever and Ever. Thank you, Lori Russell, for the like. Thank you, Will Beers, for the like. Appreciate all of you supporting us on Twitter and sharing our content. That helps us grow. I had fun tonight with this crew, and I hope you did as well. Just as a recap, we had Leadbet as Gerbil, Climate Change as Bagarath, PS Zombie as Luca, and Alex as Rathaga. And I'm PU2 your DM for this tonight's session. We hope you join us next week for another fun episode of IBSTPSNIC. Thank you, and have a wonderful night.